Alright, so in the last video we went through and we started adding a lot of details to our typical wall section. And the first thing that we need to do in this video is fix one of the mistakes that we made in that one. And that's basically adding this formadrain in on this side. So the whole purpose of using formadrain is that you actually use it for two different functions. The one function being a form to pour your concrete footing in, and the other one to use it for a drain. And we didn't add that in on this side, so I can just delete this hatch for right now, and I can mirror this over to this side. I'm going to go ahead and do a window around those items, and I'm going to mirror it from the midpoint of this. And the only thing is, I do have double lines right here, so I'm going to erase that. And now I have these on this side as well. So what I want to do is I want to extend my gravel out to this point and have it come around here also. So I'm going to have to erase that as well. I'm just going to draw a line from here to there, and then I'm going to hatch that area. I'm going to match my properties, and once again I'm going to draw my line from there to there. I'm going to hatch again, and again I'm going to match properties, and then I'm going to get rid of these two lines. So now my crushed stone, my crushed limestone, is actually going to go around my formadrain here, and this pipe, instead of us showing this as a drain, we're going to show that, we're going to call that out as a radon vent. So these are kind of a little bit of an overkill on a garage, but if I was going to do this for a house, basically this would be a basement space, and I would use this to drain any water that would be underneath the slab, and I would also collect any kind of radon gas in that throughout the perimeter that would be under the slab, and vent it through this pipe, and then this pipe would go up through the roof somewhere. And then basically after the construction was complete, you could do a radon test in the basement, and if you needed to, you could cut into this pipe somewhere in the basement and add a fan that would basically draw any radon out from underneath the slab. So even though this might be a little bit of an overkill for a garage, we're going to add it in just so that you can see how that works. And it definitely won't hurt. Alright, so the next thing is to move up to our roof assembly, basically all the components that build into the roof. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add fascia out here, and I'm just going to come up here to my layers, and I'm going to choose the A-thin layer instead of creating a new layer just for fascia, and I'm going to draw a line, and I'm just going to hold it out away from all of this stuff so that we can actually see it whenever it's on the drawings. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to try doing 6 inches. That doesn't work. I'm going to try doing 4 inches, and that doesn't work. So I'm actually going to use the 4 inches. I'm going to draw that line there, and then I'm just going to pick this up and I'm going to move it down. So right now the fascia would do something like that. I'll just stretch this out a little bit, because what's going to happen if I don't add separation here is whenever it's actually printed out on the drawing, these lines would merge together, or look like they're merging together, and it would look like one thick heavy line instead of two thin lines. So our fascia is basically going to wrap the outside of this fascia board, the one that we made with the 2x4 that is on the end of all the trusses or the tails. Then we're going to have our fascia basically supporting, or looks like it's going to cover up, our soffit. So our soffit is going to look something like this. It's going to come over here, and it's going to go the whole way over to this point. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of this. So we arrayed this, so in order for me to edit this, I have to explode it. I'm going to get rid of this part right now, and I'm going to draw in an F channel. So F channel is basically looks like an upside down F. And I'm going to kind of just fudge this, and I'm going to move it into place, and I'm going to put it right about there. And then I'm going to pull this back this way a little bit. So whenever I'm actually constructing this in real life, my vented soffit, and that's what this is basically going to be a 12-inch piece of soffit cut off that has holes in it for ventilation. And the first step would be to slide this end of it into this F channel to hold it in place, and then it would get nailed right there to that fascia board. So over here we need that F channel to hold it in place, because there's no way of nailing it to this OSB. And then we put our aluminum fascia over top of that, and it gets face nailed to this fascia board. And then the next step, I could do something like this also. I could draw an arc in here. Just going to, I don't like that. I'm just going to draw, I'm going to use my spline command, SPL, enter, and I'm going to try doing something that looks like this. Not crazy about that. And I'm going to stretch this down a little bit. And I can't stretch it, so I'm going to just grab that, pull that out like that, and I might stretch it this way a little bit, stretch it that way a little bit. I'm kind of just fudging this to make it look like soffit. It would actually have this bend in it, and it's really just a fold in the soffit to give it some, give it a different appearance and to give it some strength in that direction. And that's going to occur more so in the middle. Again, I'm just going to kind of fudge that. And then I'm going to use my break command. So I just type in BR, enter. I select this object, type in F for first point, and I'm going to turn my ortho off, pick a point there, and do that. Do the same command. Do that. Maybe stretch this one over a little bit, stretch this one over a little bit. And that's basically just there to represent the holes that would be in my soffit used for ventilation. Alright, the next part of this would be to draw my drip edge. So my drip edge is basically going to get nailed to this, my 5/8 OSB sheathing. Looks like this is incorrect. Oh, that's right. So I can just copy this line. I'm just going to bring it up off of here a little bit. I'm going to break this, and then I'm going to erase that, and then my drip edge is just basically going to come down like this, and then I'm going to draw a line out there to represent the drip edge. Bring it back a little bit. Match my properties, and that is going to be my drip edge. Now to represent my shingles that would go over top of this, and actually I would have felt paper or synthetic felt that would go over top of the sheathing, but it's just a single line, so I'm not going to draw it. I will call it out in the annotations. I'm just going to add another line up here, and I'm going to break this, and I'm going to break it again. And I'm just going to make some segments in this. And actually, instead of doing that, I'm just going to erase that, and I'm going to copy this from end point to end point the whole way up through. And then I'm going to copy this one, and I'm going to kind of just have it hovering over top, just to give the illusion of shingles lapping. So again, I'll copy it from end point to end point, and once we print this, we'll get a better idea of what this is actually going to look like. Not sure if I'm crazy about that, but we'll see how it looks. And that's basically all there is to the wall section. Next step would be going through and doing annotations.